Welcome back to another episode of Broker Talk. I'm Larry Lawfer, your host each week, bringing you residential real estate subject matter experts willing to share their secrets with us. I expect that today's guest has many such secrets. She was the producer on The Oprah Show for 20 years. More specifically, she was the person responsible for producing the home makeover shows. You have often heard me discuss the fallacy that consumers believe all agents are the same. This is about as true as all doctors or lawyers or any other professional service person are all the same. It's just not true. Agents often come from other jobs, former interests, and a desire to help. Our guest today is a poster child for the willingness to get it right for her clients and her ability to deal with thousands of details that the buying and selling of real estate demands. Each agent brings their own unique set of skills, talents, focus, and assistance. Julie Simpson is a realtor in Nashville, Tennessee. When her 3+ years in this business does not make her a veteran agent, her 20 years with Oprah has no doubt given her a jump start working with fully wired and brilliant people. Welcome to the show, Julie, and thanks for coming on today.
Oh my gosh, thank you. The pleasure's mine, Larry.
Hey, Julie, let's get started with, can you share with us what you've learned in those 20 years with Oprah that directly makes you a good agent?
Oh gosh, I think everything. I think my TV career, especially with Oprah, has just been a tremendous foundation for my, as you were saying, new career as an agent. When I produced the Oprah Winfrey Show, we had a lot of viewers. TV was different back then. There weren't as many options as there are today. And the stakes were really high. So we had to make sure that whatever we were broadcasting out there to the world was accurate, was true. So the stakes were high. And in that same way, the stakes are really high in real estate. You're dealing with people, with families, you're dealing with enormous amounts of money. And so you have to get it right. With the Oprah Show too, we were working at a very high level. I had the honor of interviewing lots and lots of celebrities and thought leaders and heads of state and people like that. And I think that helped me because I'm not intimidated by many folks.
Sure.
I love doing interviews. I love figuring out what makes people tick, what gets them fired up. And so that's helped me tremendously in getting to know my clients and getting to know what it is that they really, really want most.
Understanding what they need is so critical every single
Yeah,
day.
yeah,
And
it's everything.
so many agents don't do that. They're focused on the listings from their company or what they want or they need. I think they call that commission breath. Uh, it's
Yeah, yeah, I've heard that.
it's pretty nasty.
Yeah, it is
But
very bad.
um, uh, I think the more you focus on the people that you're working with, the better.
Yeah,
And and,
absolutely.
and so, how do you do that? How do you prepare yourself for, say, a presentation?
Um, I mean, it's an enormous amount of listening, asking questions, asking personal questions to find out what motivates them. What are they afraid of? In going with in hiring a realtor, what are they afraid of? There's so many options out there nowadays. There's so many online companies. So it's really being able to listen to what they need and to give them clarity, because with all these, many options, they could go a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
So it's proving to them, and hopefully they get this after talking with me, that I'm going to treat them as if I'm producing a show and they are my guest for the full show. They have my full attention. I am always here for anything that they need, just like a guest I'm preparing for a TV show. I want them to be comfortable. I want to know everything about them, what they need, what they want. And the biggest thing is I need their trust. And so I really want to earn that. And I want them to feel that they can trust me, that I'm going to make decisions and I might help guide them and lead them in ways that are best for them, not necessarily best for me, or the deal. I know it's kind of a tangent, but I know inspectors who work for some agents and their goal is just to salvage the deal. It's just to make sure that the deal goes through. Whereas I want an inspector who's going to go through the house like his daughter's going to buy that house, and he's going to pick out every little thing.
Yeah, I think that's really there are also inspectors that are out there that want to scare the client, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
An inspection is your opportunity to be with someone who's supposed to know the intricacies of building construction, electrics, electrical, plumbing, all of the things
Mhm.
that there's, and they're not supposed to scare your client.
Yeah, yeah.
You're really not, because even brand new construction has things that can be better.
Oh
Um,
my gosh, yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
when you're buying a home that has been around for a while, I'm in Massachusetts. We have homes that are around since the 1600s.
Yeah,
So,
I
um,
love it.
there are going to be some issues with some of those houses, uh,
Right,
but
right.
one of them is not. It's going to fall down.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I love it. And I love those kinds of houses too.
Oh, I grew up in Pennsylvania, in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Beautiful old farm homes,
Oh
and
man.
where I live in Boston is very, very similar. It's been around.
Yeah,
Um, so I personally like older homes,
yeah, I do
but
too.
uh, I don't care what I like. I need to find out what you like.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly.
One of the questions that I have always used is, um, tell me about, you've lived in a number of places. Let's play this game right now, you and I. I know you lived in Chicago. You're now
Mhm,
living in Nashville. You probably have lived a couple of other places. You have a
mhm,
number of places where you lived that you really loved. Tell
mhm.
me about one of the places and maybe one of the rooms or something and why you liked it.
Right, right. You want me to do that?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I would say, well, I have lived a lot of different places, and I'm fortunate in that I've loved every place I've lived. I've lived in New Mexico, was born and raised in Virginia, lived in Washington, D.C., New York City for about 2 years, Chicago, and now Nashville. But one of my favorite places to live was my last Chicago condo, because I had $1 million view from sitting on my couch. I could see the John Hancock building and the Sears Tower, which really is called Willis Tower. So that I really, coming home to that view, it was just so cool. It was such a treat. I never got used to it. I never got tired of it.
So this is what I just heard. I heard my client has lived in a bunch of places, quite often cities. My client loves a view from her home. So when we're looking at properties, I need to make sure there's a view right there.
That's true. That's true.
And so when we're looking for properties, I look for what you want.
Yeah.
Um, I I like to live in a I'm not sure if I should say that, a naked home. So everybody everybody gets up in the morning and you want a cup of coffee, I want to be able to come from my bedroom, go into my kitchen, get my cup of coffee and not have to put on clothes if I don't want
Right.
to.
Right. I
So
hear you. I hear you.
I don't want people looking in or
I hear you.
so I can't really say naked home when I'm out with clients, but I think of it like that underwear home, where you
Yeah,
can.
yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. I've
Uh,
got a client like that. She's so concerned about how close are the neighbors, what are the sight lines, not only her sight lines, but what are the sight lines of the neighboring houses? How much can they see inside her house? So Yeah, that's big for a lot of people.
One of the things I found out about that is you can go to your MLS or your GIS, government, I forget what that stands for, but it's the town plot plans,
Mhm.
um, government interactive. I don't know, but it allows you to look at the plot plan of a neighborhood. So the
Mhm.
houses that are like that, they like that kind of thing, are catty
Yeah,
corner. Everybody else is lined up, both
yeah,
streets. But if you have a
yeah,
house like that, I am a house like that.
right,
My
right.
house doesn't face any of those other houses.
Yeah, yeah,
So uh,
that's all.
it's you kind of learn these tricks as you go along,
Right,
and
right.
that's another thing to share is that it's really important not what your split is, what your cap is for your age. What's really important is work with people who are good, who are willing to share with you ideas
Mhm.
and thoughts and make you a better agent,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
you and I would never compete, even if we're going talking to the same client, because they won't see us the same. They're going to
Hmm.
see you or they're going to see me. I'll
Hmm.
do my best thing. You'll do your best thing. They'll pick one of us. That
Right,
does that
right.
doesn't make either of us a loser agent.
Hmm.
We've lost the opportunity.
Yeah,
So maybe when you lose those opportunities, you come back and say, "Well, what did you like about the other agent?"
yeah,
Some people will tell you that. Some people won't because
yeah,
they
yeah.
feel uncomfortable with it.
Right,
Um,
right.
um, what are Can you share? I know the audience would love to hear an Oprah story. She lives in Hawaii as well, doesn't she?
She has a home in Hawaii and a beautiful home in California, and she likely has some other properties too.
Well, we know that wealthy people like property because it's a great investment. And
One time, Jamie Foxx was on our show. I think he had just done Ray, the movie. He was
Yeah,
playing Ray Charles, and he came on the show. And she asked him. I mean, he has such a great story, and she was interviewing him, obviously. And she said, "What's the first thing you bought when you started making money?" And I don't remember his answer, but I remember he turned to her and he said, "What's the first thing?" Or he said, "What's your favorite thing to buy?" And she said land, because God's not making any more of it.
yeah, it's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Uh, Another thing agents should be doing is, what do you get yourself when you get your first closing, your second closing, your third closing?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I remember my first deal was 800,000, and it was back in the days when the commission was higher, and I
Hmm.
was just so thrilled. And I was talking to somebody in the office, I think it was the manager, and I said, I really need to get something for myself. I struggled as I changed from one career to another because
Yeah.
you got to
Yeah.
change your whole mindset. I
Yeah.
wasn't this and now I'm this. And
Right.
um, and so he said, I don't know. Why don't you go get yourself some ice cream? And I thought, ice cream? This was a $23,000 commission check. I think I'm going to buy a pair of new shoes because I walked a
Right.
lot of miles to get that.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
You have to, there is so much rejection in our business, and you have to
Yeah.
be comfortable with it. They're not rejecting you as a person, they're
Hmm.
rejecting something within whatever that communication was.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and Not everybody's built for this. It's clear because, you know, if you're not returning your phone calls, you probably shouldn't be in this business. If you're not
Yeah. Absolutely.
getting,
Absolutely.
you know how important it is, and
Yeah.
working a TV show, that clock is ticking. So if you
Oh,
need
yeah.
something, you've got to get it right now, and if you can't get it right now, you got to figure a way around how to get that
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Uh,
Absolutely.
um, what's going on in your market in Nashville? I love Nashville. It's a great place.
Well, I do too. I do too. It is crazy in our market, like everywhere. There's more demand for housing than there are houses. And it is extremely competitive. I mean, it's white hot. Most of my clients that I'm working with now are buyers, and it's really challenging for them. And it's challenging for me to keep them feeling and thinking positively, because, it is not, I've submitted many offers for clients where there were 25 other offers, where people would come 75, 100,000, 125,000 over asking, and all cash.
Yeah.
And so it can be really, really soul crushing if you're a buyer. So that's what's happening here. If you're a seller, you're pretty golden. But buyers, it's a challenge.
It absolutely is a challenge, especially if they've missed out. They're smart enough. I have a client right now that won't overpay for a house. Like
Yeah,
your 125 over asking price, you're overpaying for that house. But
yeah, yeah,
that then throws the appraisers into a tizzy, because that then becomes, a valuation that, as it goes forward, is going to change all the other valuations,
right,
in
right,
and around that area.
yeah,
I'm going to share one other thing that I just picked up. Maybe a month ago. I'm working with a lot of buyers as well,
uh-huh,
because there's a lot of buyers out there.
yeah, yeah,
So I knew we were in a competitive situation. There were only 13 other people, so there were
mhm,
14 total bids. And I was talking to the listing agent, and listing agents always know who's bidding. And I said to the listing agent, do you have any couples where the wife is 6, 7, or 8 months pregnant? And he thought for a moment. He said, yeah, we have two of those. I said, we're out, because my client will not bid against somebody who is hormonally crazy. And I have
wow,
I have
wow.
been in that room with my client who was 7 months pregnant. She turned to her husband and said, "We're getting that house." And he said, "Oh yeah, well, of course we are."
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
So so another really good practice there is to ask the listing agent what they want, because
Yeah, what's
price
important.
isn't always.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's timing.
Uh-huh.
Oh, we want to stay because my son is going to have his birthday in a month and a half, and we want to stay in the house and have his last birthday here because he was
Yeah, yeah,
born here. And now, you
yeah,
know, um,
yeah,
we put that into that offer. We were not the top bidder, but we gave them what they wanted.
yeah.
Talk to the listing agent. Find out what the seller wants. Um, be someone who you want to work with. You know, don't be
Okay.
adversarial. It's not an
Yeah,
adversarial situation, it's a
yeah.
negotiation. And anybody who's dated in their life knows there's negotiation every day out
Right,
there,
right.
let alone married.
Sure,
The
for
neg-
sure.
I'm 34 years married. There is no negotiation. It's my wife's way, and I'm okay with that.
Oh,
For
it's
the
good you
most
know
part. For the most part. I unfortunately have bad hearing in one of my ears, and she knows if I turn my bad ear to her what I'm saying. Anyway,
that.
anyway, what are your challenges right now? Your personal challenges, like you're coming up in a brand new market. We've been through the pandemic, so you can't really knock on doors. People don't knock on doors anyway, especially if you're in Texas because they have guns.
Yeah.
But
Well, growing, I'm very ambitious and I'm very competitive. And I think that's part of what made me really good as a television producer.
yeah,
I hate to lose. Uh, um, growing my business, I would say now I have a boutique business, which is great because I can give so much attention to my clients.
yeah.
Um, but I would love the challenge of, doubling my clients and still giving them all, the same one-on-one attention. That's probably my biggest challenge. I didn't grow, a lot of really great realtors grew up great realtors here in Nashville grew up here. They know everybody. They go to the grocery store and they know everybody they see. And I didn't grow up here, and so I don't have that built-in network. So and frankly, most of my clients, I'd say 95% of my clients are from my television career, or from my Harpo, my career with Oprah. So I would love to build up a stronger base, here in Nashville, and it is building, it's growing. But like I said, I'm competitive. I don't have patience. I really want, I want everybody's business.
Well, I'll challenge you then. If you're competitive, I challenge you to go out and meet new people. Join, some committee somewhere.
Well, I am. Yeah, I am. I'm doing a lot of different things. I'm taking advantage of that and doing, things like that I've always wanted to do, but never, had time to do. So as somebody put it, I'm trying to date my city. And that's been really fun. It's been great, not just for my career, but for me personally.
Yeah, yeah. We talked about this before we started, but it doesn't seem like it on a show like this, but we're both introverts. If I'm out in public, I'm tongue-tied. I don't really know what to say unless I'm talking about something that I'm like real estate or photography or the other things that I'm passionate about.
Mhm.
I'm the chairman of my local historic district study committee,
Mhm.
and it's another thankless volunteer job with,
Yeah,
with a great big term paper that's due in 12 months. But
yeah,
but the unintended consequence is I'm learning so much more about my town and
right,
what is historic. And
right, right.
it's not just the building or the architecture. Maybe
Mhm.
somebody special lived there. Maybe something special
Yeah,
happened there.
yeah, yeah,
And the Suffolk Resolves were written and agreed upon here in my town. And
Mhm.
before they became the Articles of Confederation a year
Oh my
later,
goodness.
and
Yeah,
that building
yeah,
uh, sat in one place in our town, and it got moved to another. Um, it's a tight little house, and I can't imagine all those, like Ben Franklin. Where did he sit?
yeah.
You know,
How cool.
Both Adamses, and all these.
Right, right.
Um, but then I got panicked, and I said, "We all can read what they wrote.
Yeah,
I've got to write this paper with the committee." And fortunately, I have
yeah,
so many great people with me. But
yeah,
in this committee, people are going to read this
yeah,
later. And
yeah.
um, historic, having your house named historic, there's a
Mhm.
bunch of things that happen with that. Uh,
Yeah.
the town then can dictate some of the things that
Mhm.
happen on the house.
Mhm.
It's not they can't dictate what's going on inside. The
Yeah,
the law
yeah.
is you can only dictate what happens on the facade that faces a
Mhm.
public way. So you can
Mhm.
change the back of your house if there's no
Yeah,
visible.
yeah,
But people get afraid of that kind of
yeah,
stuff. It
yeah.
does change your taxes. It
Right.
can. It can. Doesn't necessarily.
Mhm.
It can change your valuation. It's like a
Mhm.
swimming pool. Some people, oh wow, it's historical. And some people say, oh my God, there's a swimming pool. I don't want that.
Right, right.
I just think the business every single day is interesting.
It
Um,
is. Every client's different. Every house is different. You're talking about writing the story of this house. Every house has a story, and
yeah.
that's one of the things I love about this business.
Yeah, yeah. And in fact, my business is centered around that. It's called Your Stories Realty Group.
Mhm.
And I don't want to close 300 deals a year. It's too much, and I can't be as in person as I can,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I got to get to the next phone call. I got to get to the next, I want it manageable, and you don't have to be the person that closes, 40, $50 million worth of property every year,
Yeah, yeah.
to have a good living. I mean,
Right.
you're making well over a million if you're closing $26 million worth
Yeah,
of property.
yeah.
Um, so My son has a great job. I don't have to worry about him.
Good.
My wife and I want to take a little more traveling.
Yeah,
So enough for
good.
that. Enough for that.
I hear you. I hear you.
If you're looking um, over the next year, what are some of the things that can be achieved in Nashville uh, by you with your clients? I know that's kind of a left field question.
What can be achieved? I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, getting them what they want, making sure their needs are met. Um, Most of my business, like I said earlier, I've gotten from my television contacts, and then I get a lot of referrals from those people that I've worked with. So I guess keeping that going,
Yeah,
continuing to give the kind of service that I'm really proud about giving,
yeah.
one-on-one, tremendous attention to detail. Um, so yeah, I think just keeping on and hopefully growing, continuing to grow every year.
I think having your clients really like you and willing to give you a testimonial is everything. Uh,
Oh yeah. And I don't, every client that I've worked with, afterwards, now I consider them friends.
yeah,
I go out to dinner with my former clients. I go over to their house to hang out for barbecues. And same here. We do dog play dates. So I really love that aspect too. I've been very fortunate. I know there can be some really trying clients out there, but mine have been great, and they've all become bona fide friends. So I'm really grateful for that.
I have. I have a lot of friends that I've made over the years. I'm
Mhm,
trying not to make friends because I have friends that I don't get to talk to.
mhm,
I'd like to spend time with them, but I do really appreciate the intimacy um, of our work because
mhm.
you are connected to people. You understand their finances. You understand where they live. You've probably
Oh yeah.
spent time in the house where they're currently living
Yeah,
before,
yeah,
and all
yeah,
of that is. Um, we have to be respectful. We have to
yeah,
be we have to be confidential. We
yeah,
have to be open with them and tell them the
yeah,
truth, even when they don't want to hear that truth.
right,
Uh,
right,
you have to be diplomatic in that way, you know,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you just can't use that old Saturday Night Live phrase "Jane, you ignorant slut" when they say something stupid. You just can't do that anymore.
right. No, you can't. No, you can't.
You'll be in trouble.
A
And
little bit.
a lot, more so in your area than up here
Right, right. Yeah,
in the aggressive Northeast, where
yeah.
you know we don't like anybody up here. Um, it's just been a real pleasure to have you. Is there anything that I haven't asked you yet that you'd like to talk about?
No, it's been my pleasure to be here. I really appreciate it.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you, and my audience might not know. Um, uh, Julie is the cousin of one of my oldest friends. We went to art school way, way, way back in San Francisco. Chester Simpson, great rock and roll photographer. You can find him at
Amazing photographer.
yeah, yeah, and quite a crazy guy in all the best ways.
Yeah, yeah. He's a tremendous artist and a tremendous cousin, and our family is so proud of him.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I have stories that I could tell that would
I'm sure.
but
I'm sure.
you had, I wouldn't tell then. I'm not going to tell now. Hey, Julie, where can people get in touch with you when they need help in Nashville?
I have a website. It's called julieleesimpson.com, and Lee is Lee. And you can contact me through that. I've also got a blog called Nashville at Home and another blog called Designers Digs. And you can find all that on my website.
Before we go, one last thing. I'm sorry we didn't get to this till now, but do you have a design background because you did all of those shows? Um,
Oh, yeah, I'd like to think so. I mean, it was just, I was Nate Berkus's producer on the Oprah show for many years. We did the biggest home makeovers in the history of the Oprah show. Tremendously proud of those. And getting to work with people like him, world-class designers like him and Tom Felicia. And I did a couple makeovers with Leanne Ford for another show. Um, I mean, those people are the real deal. They can see what isn't there. They can see the promise and the potential. And I'm nowhere near where they are, obviously, but I've become a lot better at seeing the potential, at recognizing really great workmanship and really, poor workmanship. So that has been a tremendous help. But that was a big reason why I got into real estate too, because I got to the point in my career where I really just wanted to do home makeovers all the time. I loved it so much.
I think there are people who are built for this business and don't know it until they get older. I was one
Yeah.
of those people. You
Yeah.
seem like one of those people as well. Um,
I'm, yeah, I'm very happy to be doing this. I mean, I loved working for Oprah. I mean, it was a spectacular career, and I have stories for days on great adventures that I had. But I worked for her for a long time. And when you call and you say you work for Oprah, people return your call. But I wondered, what will people return my call if it's just me calling? How far can I go with my own name? So that's kind of why I took this different path in the road to see what I could do, how much I could build on my own.
so my friends in Nashville, Julie Simpson, when she calls, pick up the phone. She could be a great help. Uh,
Thank you, Larry. Thank you so much.
it's been a real pleasure. Uh,
Oh, it's been mine.
it,
Thank you.
it goes by so quickly, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah. We dance our way out.
I love the music. Thank you so much for this.
It's thank you,
All
and
right.
thank you for joining in. And join us again next week for another great show. I've got a couple of really special guests coming up that I know you'll enjoy. Thank you for watching, and thank you for letting me know how much you like it. It's been great to have you with us again.